Good morning, sir.
And good morning. There is no question you love drag racing.
I do love drag racing. That has been a big part of my life for a long time. And fortunately, got the opportunity about 15 years ago to come to work out here. Just and coincidence, and the stars just lined up, and lo and behold, here I am now. I started out in the lowest position and kind of worked my way around, and with all that fun stuff with that. So now I'm in a position now of, just kind of helping out our track manager Jimmy Owen. I handle the stuff that he doesn't have to handle. So but it's been a huge blessing for me, especially loving drag racing. So it's a win-win. I couldn't ask for anything any better.
Well, Jerry, I had no idea what was involved in getting a track ready to run cars down through there. When I stopped by yesterday just to talk a little bit and looked at some of the equipment, and there's just a huge number of tractors. There's all sorts of things. What's some of the things I have to do to get a track ready to run on?
There is, and you are correct on that. There is a whole lot of stuff that goes on with getting a racetrack ready to go. We all wish it could be just that simple as to just walk in and flip a switch and be ready to go racing. And as you can tell already out this morning, we're getting ready for our racers here that are going to be on in a little bit to go down the racetrack. There's just all the time and equipment has to be hooked up. We keep that stuff unhooked because it is sensitive electronic equipment, so we have to be mindful of weather, stuff like that. So that's just one of the steps in getting a racetrack ready to go, is hook all the equipment up, timing, getting all the tractors and equipment out, getting getting the racetrack surface prepared. It's just the whole 9 yards of that, of not only you can't just walk in and go racing. It's just like every other job. It's all in the preparation.
Jerry, we see a piece of equipment going down the track right now. What is that piece of equipment, and why is it needed to make the track?
That particular tractor that our manager Jimmy Owen is on, that is it's actually a combination. It does a couple different things. It's got a broom attachment on the front, and that's for cleaning debris and just regular stuff that is accumulated while we were closed or whatever. The second part of it on the back is called a flat drag, and what that does, it kind of, lack of better words, it wakes the surface up, if you will. It's got rubber tires on the back that are cut up slicks, and it basically warms the racetrack. It opens up the pores to make it more receptive for the glue that we're going to put on it here in a little while. So that's just one of the steps on that. We got our other guy, Chris, who was out on the blower tractor, and that's the easiest way to put it. Because all it does is blow debris, like from the staging lanes, top of the hill, to keep race cars from getting crap in their tires or whatever when they're coming off the surface. So it's just cleaning on that. We have several other pieces of equipment out. One is called a rotator, and that's got 4 full-size drag tires on it. It basically does the same thing as that flat drag. It just does a lot quicker and a lot more efficient, if you will. So that's just one of the other many tools that we have, and as far as riding around on. So it's just like I say, it's just a whole whole gamut of equipment that you got to have to actually run a racetrack.
Jerry, one of the things that we do during the show is we take phone calls. Would you be open to stay in here while I take one of our calls?
I certainly will be.
Okay, here I go. And welcome to the CNC Auto Show. How can we help you?
Yeah, first thing I wanted to ask, is the strip an 8 mile or a quarter mile?
The strip is a quarter mile, and we run. We are capable of running both. We have a lot of racers that like to run only the 8th mile, but yes, we are capable of running quarter mile as well, and we run that quarter mile, especially on our regular TNT nights, for a lot of our streetcar guys that like to get a quarter mile time. So yes, sir, we are a quarter mile.
And this is located in Jackson, isn't it?
Yes, sir, right outside of Jackson, South Carolina. Just a hop, skip, and a jump from Augusta.
I'm going to try to check Chip Quiz now. I was trying to give you a commercial there.
Well, we would certainly love to have you come on out and check us out. I mean, we try to cater and be a fun field and just a family atmosphere for those that are experienced and have been to a drag race before, and then for those who have never been before as well, we welcome any and all.
And this is going to be an
I got a
exciting
friend that
thing when they crank up these cars and let them
Okay.
run down the track in a little bit.
Let's try that tech tip quiz
All
real
right,
quick.
I'm gonna need to. Before I do, though, I got to read the question real quick to make it official. I was driving to Nashville for a meeting in my 2000 BMW Z3. The car has no options installed, but I did not have my cell phone in the car. But I was able to call my friend Chris Knuth in San Juan Capistrano, California. How was I able to do that? And let me see. I couldn't see your name on there. Let's see here.
Billy? It's Billy.
Billy, what is the answer to today's Tech Tip quiz?
You had an app downloaded onto your radio, and you used that app to make that phone call.
So I was able to actually call through my radio. Well, see, this is a 2000 model BMW, and it didn't have any options on it. So that radio
ain't got no
didn't-
radio?
It had a standard radio. I mean, this thing had a CD player in it. So in other words, nothing was
Well, then
there.
you use the Starlink up on the mirror.
So
Then you use
the only
the Starlink up on the mirror.
But the only bad part is we don't have any all button for you, Billy. But I do appreciate you calling and giving it a good
Hey.
shot.
Y'all give them a good run out there today.
We certainly will on that, sir. We appreciate it. We hope you will take the time to maybe come out and check us out and enjoy a good fun-filled day of some drag racing, and bring the family, bring the kids, and be glad to have y'all. And thank you for your question.
All right, time to deploy to shoot one more time. We'll be back right after this. Auto Show. If you have a question about your car, truck, or SUV, you give us a call. We are live here at Carolina Dragway for the Coffee and Cars event. We have had several, we've had Jerry Hall up here. We talked to him, and he talked to us a little bit about how they prep the track, which there's a huge amount more involved than that than I ever imagined. They did bring a few of the drag cars. Since the event, the Coffee and Cars event, actually don't start for another over an hour and a half, 2 hours. They have brought a few cars in just for us.
Yeah, this is the pregame show.
Yeah, it is. This is the pregame. So we'll be having they'll be running up and down the strip a few times. We'll also be talking to some of the drivers and the ones that will be driving their cars down the strip for us shortly. And it is absolutely amazing, all the things that they have there. Jimmy, let's go to the calls.
Let's dive in.
All right, I'm ready.
And it's thinking about it. There we go.
And welcome to the CNC Auto Show, and how can we help you?
Hello.
Hello there. How we doing?
Good, thanks. How you doing?
All right. What can we help you with?
Yeah, I've got 3 questions for you. Can you explain to me the difference between the winter and summer gasoline blends?
Well, it has a lot to do with the emissions, and it has a lot to do with the fuel evaporation of fuel. And I don't know all of the details. Now, Jim may even know a lot more on that than I do. But I do know that in order for certain vehicles to meet emission standards in some states, they must be able to change the type fuel that is used. Because, of course, in the summertime, the fuel will be evaporated much faster. And, of course, that's a cause of a lot of the smog that's in certain cities. I do know that the amount that they have to do that varies some from different states. And it does have a slight effect on fuel mileage. I don't really think it's a huge difference. Do you?
Yeah, I'm trying to piece together the remnant of information we've heard just in general over the years, and it's winter and summer blend, obviously because of temperatures. But I think it's one either they're striving to reduce emissions in one season or the other by modifying the fuel. That they either it's worse in hot or cold weather, let's say, or they'd love to do it all the time, but one of the seasons won't really allow the vehicles to perform correctly. So maybe someone will call in later who's in the petroleum business or has read about this more closely. But I know there's also, I was watching while I was waiting in the dentist chair the other day, TV screen, I was watching RFD, which is a online farming network. And there was actually an article there or a presentation they were making about how there was discussions at federal government level about ethanol content regulations possibly being changed. And the folks in the corn industry, this again, a farming channel, I think they, of course, would be in favor of that, let's say, because there would be a higher demand for corn. You'd be burning it in your car instead of eating it, I suppose.
Yes.
But I think that there was a consideration of raising that. I don't know where that went because then the dentist came in and started drilling my tooth, and I didn't see the rest of the program. But so there are things out there going on with fuel, and that summer-winter blend thing's been going on for a long time.
Is what reduces the emissions. I know that. The winter, there's also some additives in there to help the fuel to start the vehicle to start better on a cold morning.
And I can't remember which one folks like the better. It might be the winter blend
fuel,
because
if I'm not mistaken.
It's either a more vehicle friendly or economy wise.
But
that was a long answer. I don't know if it was the answer, but it's an answer.
But that's a start.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious about. I was just kind of curious about what the additives were. If you knew what the additives were, what they put in or took out from season to season.
Well, I think some of the fuels advertise as you increase in octane, they talk about how it's cleaner and cleaner and cleaner. I think Chevron, which does Techron, I think they actually have an option where at their fuels that may be already treated. And I know when you go to your fuel station, some of the pumps are even sophisticated enough that they'll tell you can press this button and get a certain amount of additives. But I think mainly what's been out there, I think for the fuel injected cars is probably detergents. And that can probably vary from manufacturer.
Yes. And
Yeah.
I think it's just different additives and different stations would have, or different fuel companies would have different type additives because the octane level itself does not actually change the amount that it cleans the vehicle or does anything. It just increasing octane just prevents pre-combustion or spark knock, but it's the additives that's in fuels that make them different. But I'm not. I really couldn't tell you all the additives that make the difference between summer and winter.
Okay. And my second question was, can you explain the difference between an engine overhaul and an engine rebuild?
Absolutely. A engine rebuild is normally a person. Now, this is just my perception of it anyway. But a person that is rebuilding an engine, it would be a person who would a company or a person that would be taking the engine apart and going through each part in the engine to find out what parts might be needed for that vehicle, and honing the cylinders. And replacing the rings with the proper rings, reconditioning the heads, and I see that many times on engines, and starting to see it more and more because some remanufactured engines are getting hard to find. Now, a remanufactured engine is one that would go down an assembly line. It would be disassembled. And then the block would move to another area to where they would do all of the machine shop work to the block. The heads would go through another area. In other words, more of an assembly line type deal on remanufactured. And I tell you asking that, a very good friend of mine, his name is Michael Rivers. He's with Bo's Machine Shop here. He called me yesterday. He said, Aaron, I'm gonna stop by there, and I'm gonna and I said, well, would you mind saying a few words? He is one of the most awesome machine shop and engine builders that I know. And I tell you what, if you keep listening to the show, we will get him on the air with us sometime this morning, and we will talk to him. And I'll let you know exactly what they do when they rebuild an engine. And of course, a remanufactured would be very similar to that. The only difference is it would be more in an assembly line type situation.
Right. So what you're saying in the assembly line type, they are actually someone's probably maintaining an inventory of commonly used engines ready to ship
It's
somewhere,
correct.
as
Yeah.
opposed to someone who says, no, I have a classic car, and I want my numbers on my block to match my vehicle. I want the same engine, and just an example, and my same engine rebuilt and put back in, or the problems that are with it rebuilt, and that technician will make those assessments. Or if you have a vehicle, you might have a DeLorean. There's no DeLorean engine block waiting to
Right.
go. So you have to have it done one at a time and then on a specific case-by-case business.
Exactly.
Okay, got it. I didn't understand that distinction myself. So that's a great question
Yeah,
to
it was
hear
a
from me
great
too.
question, and we'll answer that even better in a little while because it'll tie in with Michael. Did you have another question?
Yeah. Is it necessary to warm up your engine before you drive?
Not if you have a vehicle, let's say even in the 2000 model, 2005. I would what I do, and the way that they're designed, I don't feel like there's any problem with this. I get in, I start the vehicle, and by the time I get my seatbelt hooked up, my mirrors adjusted and ready to go, then I put that joker in gear and take off because they get up to operating temperature so fast. Now that used to be the case, but now with the engines the way that they're designed, there's really not a reason for having to warm up the vehicle.
Unless you've got a passenger that wants a warm car when you take off. When I was in New Jersey last week, I enjoyed it, and I think my passenger appreciated that it had been running a little bit before you took off.
Yeah, now if you want a heater or if your windshield's clogged, don't be one of those that drives through the neighborhood with a little bitty pinhole to see through the windshield.
No.
So if you didn't park in a garage and it's frost on the windshield, do that. Okay, we sure do appreciate your questions, and thank you very much for the call. We'll be right back after these messages.